Right, hi everyone. I'm just going to do this video off the cuff and on my computer desktop because I haven't got any video to provide for this one. Someone asked on one of my videos, Glenn, asked if I had done a video on the side stand that's on my bike. And no, I haven't, but people often ask about that side stand, and so I thought maybe I'll put together what I've got. I have photos from when I bought that and modified it for my bike. And maybe that'll help people make a decision about how they want to deal with a side stand on their bike. I mean, straight off, a side stand is fantastic. It's one of the best additions I've made and anyone can make to a bike. Visually, I think it's just the best thing. You know, the way the bike sits on a stand, this cafe racer look, the Ducati's long, low, sleek, skinny, perfect. You know, looks great. The convenience, you can stop, get off, take a photo, and get back on in seconds. If I did not have the side stand, I wouldn't have got off and taken that photo. I probably would have just kept riding. But with the side stand, it's real easy. So that's another benefit. And also when you're taking photos, I like the way that it presents its best side to the viewer. Leans over. This is the good side. It's if you've got a gear gazer, and the public loves looking at the gear gazer. Your carb is there. If you've got a nice trumpet on it, that's nice. It's good. That exhaust looks good. You know, everything looks good on that side, and it just leans it over slightly. It looks great. Yeah. Here's my two cafe racers, both on their side stands. That's the look. Looks good. Just point out an accessory I've got here. This is a little magnetic plastic foot. And that's just to, if you're putting your bike on grass or something at a show, that'll just keep it out of the, keep it standing. So I think that's worth having. I've only used it once or twice. I keep it there anyway, just in case. So that's my opinion on the side stand. Love it. Really, really good. Also really, really dangerous. Really dangerous. It's so easy to ride off and leave it down and kill yourself in the next high-speed corner. Very easy. I drove off once, I think it was my second ride or first or second ride with the side stand. I stopped on the side of the road briefly to use my phone and then got back into traffic. You know, I signaled, looked over my shoulder, rode off. And because I haven't had the side stand for long, I left it down. And luckily within about 15 feet, it hit the ground. It scraped. Just as I was riding straight, you know, I must have hit a bump or something and it just scraped, and I was immediately put my foot down and pulled it up and got a fright that hasn't left me to this day. So whenever I get on my bike, I look down 3 or 4 times as I take off. I'm just constantly looking down, and even randomly while I'm riding, I'll just look down or put my foot down to feel for it and make sure it's up. I think they are dangerous, and you've just got to deal with that somehow. Okay, now your choices for side stands. If you go to Google and search for side stands, you've got a few things that come up. Not much has changed here in 5 years. This looks the same as when I searched years ago. These same pictures were here. That there is one design. It fits where mine fits. It's in the same place. Those 2 holes there, one of them is your lower engine bolt, and the other one is your center stand bolt. That one is actually this one here, which is, this one's at Medina. I'm not recommending any resellers. I've purchased parts from all of the Ducati guys. They'll vary, you know. One thing I can say is that I don't think I've purchased anything that didn't need modifying. Everything I buy needs modification, unless it's a bulb, you know, something like that. But everything I've purchased had to be modified to make it fit or fix it and stuff like that. That's been a real problem. But it's part of the job of restoring a bike and fixing it up. And so that is that stand. That's that same stand right there. That's one option. I think that's a good option. The other one is, there's one down here, that thing. Let me just open that in a new tab. So this is the stand that is very commonly seen on Bevels. You might know at the front of your frame, front edge of your frame, down here, you've got these two holes, two screw holes, two threaded holes. That's for that stand. That's how that stand attaches right there. So those holes down there go on those fittings on your frame, and back there it goes on, what does that go on? Footrest, something like that on the rear. So these may fit your bike. These fit a lot of early Bevels, like 750s and so on. I think this is a bit ungainly. It's big. It's a bit ugly. It's sort of in the wrong place. You know, you see it. And it's got this great big thing, big foot lever thing there, footrest sticking out of it. It sort of reminds me of a Harley Davidson, and that's sort of how it operates too. So that's one option, though. These do come up every now and then on eBay, people selling them off. It's just not as slick as the other type. But the one I purchased, I actually got from this guy. This site here is called Brits Motors. Again, I'm not endorsing anyone, but I did make a few purchases here when I was restoring my bike. And one of the things I purchased, he's in Japan, he does Lotuses and Bevels, and he makes parts. He designs and makes a few parts and tools that he sells. And this one here, the side stand, he does that. And that is the stand I've got. And it's got some unique features in the way it's built. I think he says so. It's an original product, by which he means by him, made by bending a plate with a 200-ton press. Using the single plate, the size is kept to a minimum, and it doesn't interfere with the 2-in-1 muffler. So that may matter to some people. If you've got a 2-in-1 muffler, his design is more low profile than this design. That's what he's getting at. And that may or may not matter. One problem is there's only a chrome one. He used to have all different colors, and I got a black powder-coated one. And didn't have to get the black powder-coated one because I had to redo it again anyway, so I may as well have got it unfinished. So that's the one I purchased, and that arrived in a box like this. That's how it looked. All very nice. This is this big thick plate that he bends with a press. That's just got a bend right there. And he's got these special nuts here. There, see, the nut extends through the plate and the thread extends through it like that. And the reason he's done that is that you can use your original center stand bolt and your original engine bolt. You don't have to get longer ones because this nut sort of it rests where the original nut would have been against the chassis. And that's sort of an interesting way that he's dealt with that. We can see the nut there. See, that's how it looks. And that's quite cool. That presumably accounts for the low profile and so on. So that's all fine and good. Here, I wanted to get the spring off because I needed to make a modification right out of the box. And the spring was so stiff. And I couldn't stretch it at all. And so what I did was I expanded the spring as far as it would go by moving the stand sort of halfway around, and then put all the kitchen knives into the spaces, into the gaps, and then dropped the stand back to rest position, and the spring stayed expanded, and then I was able to just pop it off. And that worked really well. It's a bit strange, but it worked really well. Mom would not have enjoyed that, but they're my knives now. And what I was fixing was this slop in here. It was just badly fitted, and so I put a washer in there that took up that slop, and that was just fine. No problem there. Okay, that was the first thing I needed to do. And then I put it on the bike for a fitting, and then the second thing came up. So this piece here, you notice how it's sticking out to the left there, which is forward. There it is. Look how far it's sticking out to that side. And so what I tried to do was bend it up. I used a hammer on the floor and I gave it some wax and bent it upwards. But then this whole piece just popped out of these welds. There was no penetration in the welds. And so that fell out. And by then I'd also decided that the stand was going up too high. And I'll just show you a picture where we can maybe see that. Well, this is it in the up position after I had it modified, but originally it went up another inch higher than that. So it was not parallel to the center stand, it was sort of sticking up here. And I didn't like that. It was a bit too high, a bit too close to the muffler. But what I had him do was weld a little plate right there so that the stand would not go up as high as it did. You see, there's quite a gap in there, and the stand went way up higher than it looks here. There's the plate like that. And here's the new welds. And there's that plate again welded in there. Now, before I sent it to the powder coater, I actually gave it a bit more of a hammer, and that was here. See this piece, this curved bit? I whacked that around and made it even more curved there because I wanted it up even further. I was basically following this curve here of the center stand, that thing. So now this piece here on my bike sits over here and pretty much follows that line. So I've got two things that stick up like that and follow that curve. And so then I got it all powder coated again and was able to then put it on the bike. And that's how it is now. It's been mounted ever since. I'm perfectly happy with it. Works well. That's that plate with the coating on it. That's that curve. That's how much of a curve I've put into it. There are the new welds. There it is where it attaches. This is a bit fuzzy, but those are those special nuts. Goes through that hole, that plate there. That hole goes there. That's for the engine bolt, the lower engine bolt. That's what that is. So that would be slipped down there. That goes through it, and the engine bolt attaches. And that sits like that. All right, so I think that's everything I can say about that. You got any questions? Let me know. I think I already said if I did it again, I would seriously consider this other one from whoever. That might be the better option, but take note of this. It does not bend or break under the weight of the body of the bike like the old welded structure stand, right? He's suggesting that this one bends, and I wouldn't be surprised if it does. This plate there, it probably does flex. I mean, it probably doesn't bend and stay bent, but it probably flexes, yes. The one I've got on the bike now, this thing is rock solid. It doesn't move at all. All right, we'll leave it there. Ask questions, subscribe, like, comment, and so on. Okay, bye-bye.